Emily, what's your favorite thing about the Elder Scrolls games?
Oh, wow. I've only really played the one, the Skyrim.
The Skyrim, the big one.
Yes. I will tell you, my favorite thing to do in it is there's a spell that you can cast that I can't remember the name of it, but it basically like angers whoever you cast it on and they will start fighting whoever's around them. So there's a quest in Skyrim that you can optionally do where you work for an assassin's guild. So sometimes you have to go out and unalive people in public. And the way I would get around that is I would cast that like enrage spell on them and they would get angry and then the guards would kill them for me.
Wow. I mean, I feel like almost historically that may have been how sorcerers skirted the law. I feel like the laws were so thin back when
sorcerers
times.
Were real.
Back when sorcerers, yeah. Back when they were public, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Kyle Imperator and Emily Moyers take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperator. Emily, today I have for you a incredible, marvelous, exuberant word.
Whoa.
Emily, your word today is Churlish.
Oh.
Churlish. Churlish.
Definitely, I've heard it, and I think I know what it means.
Oh, fun. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic.
But it's one of those words that, like, the way it's used, it's not always 100% clear.
Yeah, that's
what
fair.
It means exactly. But I think it means you're being a little imp, or am I?
Well, yeah, but not literally though, right?
No, if you're just being like a maybe, or I guess the way I think of it is it means the same as childish.
No.
Wow.
That's honestly what I thought it meant. But no, that's not. I mean, in a sense, surely, yes, but no.
Wow.
There's more to it.
And you started by asking me about Skyrim. Okay. So, I mean, with the ish ending, it must be an adjective.
Yes, it is an adjective.
Yeah. So it means like a churl. Is a churl a noun?
A churl is a noun, yeah.
Yikes. I can't even begin to fathom. Can I have a hint, Kyle?
Yes, Emily, your hint is Shrek.
It's gotten worse. Everything has gotten worse. Kyle, I am like 90% sure you've already used the hint Shrek more than once.
Yeah. Now I think it's just like fun to see what other words apply to Shrek, you know?
You're a criminal. Because anytime you're using Shrek as a hint, it's only good to you as a little joke, knowing what the word means.
No, I think this is a useful hint this time.
Boy, okay. Does it mean like ogreish or orcish, like sort of like brutish?
Yeah, that's what it means.
Yes, that's what it means.
You got it, Emily. Yeah.
Nice.
See, and you had so little faith in me on Shrek as a hint.
All right. Well, all right. It means that?
Yes. So churlish originally meant of, pertaining to, or of the rank of a serf, peasant, or rustic. And then over time changed to mean intentionally rude, surly, or ungracious in behavior, hard, harsh, or brutal. And then also separately could mean stingy, miserly, or grudging.
Wow.
Yeah. Had a lot of
But
meanings.
that is ogreish?
Well, not specifically ogreish. In the sense that it's like synonymous with ogreish, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy because I did fully think it meant like childish or like being a little rascal.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does in the sense that it's rude. Like a child can be rude in that sense, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, churlish comes from the Middle English adjective churlische, which means the same thing.
Yeah.
From the Old English Churlish, meaning of or pertaining to churls. Wow, can you believe it?
I can. But what a churl is, I can't say.
So, Emily, churl originally meant man, especially as correlative to wife. So it could essentially mean husband.
Right, because wife, like whiff, it just meant woman in Old English.
Just meant woman in Old English. Exactly,
So
Emily.
churl is the opposite of that.
Churl is the opposite of that, yes. And churl could mean, as a verb, to take a husband. If you're talking about a woman, she could churl to take a whiff, could take could churl.
Could churl. Got
Could
it.
churl, yeah.
Yes.
Interestingly, one of the examples that the OED provides using churl in this context, which is from our favorite Orm and his
Of the Ormulum?
Yes, from his 12th century Ormulum.
Yeah.
I love also in the beginning of that, he's like, you can call me Orman.
See?
So we don't know if his name is Orm or Orman, or if like Orman was a nickname. Because he's like, the name is Orm, but you can call me Orman.
My friends call me Orman.
Yeah. But he pairs the words differently. He doesn't pair the words as churl and wife. He describes Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt, saying, old and young, and ware and whiff, and churl and child.
Oh, so like were and whiff would be man and woman, like werewolf.
Like werewolf, exactly. Yes. So what does ware mean, Emily?
Man.
Man, yeah. So where also once meant man. You can learn more about that and werewolves on our Patreon exclusive Buttered Parsnips episode 25, Monster Smash.
Then he said churl and child?
Yes. So where was more commonly paired with wife, which you mentioned once meant woman, and we talked about on our first episode, Billingsgate. And it's probably more commonly paired with wife simply because of the alliteration, where and wife. But then churl and child also being an alliterative phrase makes sense.
Makes
right?
a good pair. So I guess that then like churl would be like adult and
in
child?
That sense, yeah, like man and child, right? This especially makes sense with the knowledge that churl comes from the Proto-Germanic karilas, meaning elder or man or free man or little man or young man as a diminutive of karas, and it ultimately comes from the Proto-Indo-European root ger, meaning to grow old or to mature.
Oh.
Emily, can you think of any other words that might come from this Proto-Indo-European root, ger?
I did immediately think geriatric.
You got it, Emily.
Yeah, like old.
Like old, yeah. So through ancient Greek geras, meaning old age, and geron, meaning old man, we get geriatrics, which is the branch of medicine focusing on health in later life, and gerontology, which is the study of aging.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is fun.
There's another word. It's actually related to a lot more words in a weird way. So at some point, we believe that Proto-Indo-European root became gurnos, meaning matured or grown old, and then gurnom, meaning grain, from whence we get the English grain, and then corn and kernel, and a bunch of related words there.
Crazy shift.
Yeah, just means getting old.
But as it relates to corn?
Yeah, I guess because it was like a plant that has grown.
Crazy.
And that you're cultivating it,
Sure.
Harvesting it.
That's a crazy transition. I love that.
That's a crazy transition, yeah. But we're not going to talk about that today, Emily.
No, throw it out. It's gone.
Instead, we're going to talk about how in an England ruled by Anglo-Saxon law, churl was more often used to refer to a man in the sense of being a free man as a part of the social division at the time. Emily, what do you know about medieval Anglo-Saxon social classes, if anything?
Not a ton. I guess I just sort of think of it as like peasants and people who owned land and royalty. I guess in my head, I don't know any grainier detail than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it, but it's actually way more complicated than... It's super complicated, especially because there was no one England at the time, it was a bunch of
Like
kingdoms. Yeah.
Is this in the era of feudalism, where there was that sort of like structure of landowners and tenants?
So, yes and no. Feudalism kind of slowly evolved between the 9th and 12th centuries until it came to like full fruition in the 12th century along with the Norman conquest. So there was some of that, but it was like interspersed amongst the kingdoms as well. It was kind of messy.
Just a sprinkling of feudalism.
Just a sprinkling of feudalism, yeah. So in this time period, we're talking about the like 9th through 12th centuries, all men primarily swore fealty to the kinning, Cyning, or as we call it today, the king. Both essentially formed as kin, Kin, plus the suffix ing, right? Kinning. In the sense that it's, I think, originally like the son of the tribe, like, you know, passed down. But it ultimately comes from the Proto-Indo-European root gen, meaning to procreate. So there's that sense of like birthing a new king, I guess.
Yeah.
Churls were the lowest class of freedmen in this society. They were often farmers, so they did cultivate grain, one could assume. And when we talk about the social class of churls historically and scholarly, it's often spelled the Old English way, which was Ceorl, and it would have more likely been pronounced Cheorl. Ceorl, Cheorl. So churls were basically non-servile peasants. They were just above slave rank, right?
Sure.
In Anglo-Saxon English, slaves were called theos, Theow. That was the name of that social class. Possibly from the Proto-Germanic thewas, meaning runner, and the Proto-Indo-European root tekwa, meaning to run.
I guess they must have done a lot of it.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of competitions. I don't know. Yeah.
Kyle only runs when he's on the track.
It's true. So social rank at the time was generally denoted by land ownership, as you were saying. So theos owned no land because they were servile, but what denoted you being a churl, a freedman, was you owning land.
Oh. So
churls owned, even though they were peasants, they often owned between 1 to 2 hides of land, is what the land designation was called. It was a unit representing the amount of land needed to support one family, was a hide. And that comes from the Proto-Germanic hiwas, or hiwo, meaning relative, fellow lodger, or family, from the Proto-Indo-European k, meaning to lie with, store, or be familiar. So it's all in the family.
Uh-oh.
The nobility, meanwhile, owned substantially more hides. In early Kent laws, these nobility were referred to as eorls, E-O-R-L, eorls, right?
Yeah.
From Proto-Germanic erlas, meaning man or nobleman, and possibly related to Proto-Germanic ero, meaning battle. We don't know exactly.
Okay.
Though that would make sense because that rank of nobility would often be in the military for the king in some way. But by the 10th century, these noblemen were called thanes.
Oh.
Thane. I know. We're not there yet. You were going to say what you were going to say. I
sworn that was leading up to Earl.
Yeah. No. Later. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
By the 10th century, they were called thanes. Thane or Thegn is how it's spelled.
Sure.
And thane comes from Proto-Germanic thegnas, meaning man or warrior as well. Possibly from the Proto-Indo-European root tek, meaning to give birth. Not related to tekwa, to run. I don't understand how Proto-Indo-European works, really. Scholar John Selden's 1614 Titles of Honor quotes a supposed old fragment, I guess like a phrase that was like an old quote.
Sure.
And it says, "The wisest of people were worship-worthy, everyone in his rank. Eorl and Cheorl, Thane and Theoden," which he translates as an under thane or a mean thane, which is kind of like a lesser thane.
Yeah.
So, like, all of these terms were kind of being used at the same time.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of
the
overlap.
various ranks that there were.
Now, Emily, if you remember your medieval history, which I didn't, but if anybody out there remembers their medieval history, from the late 9th century up to the Norman conquest, a good portion of England was ruled by the Vikings, not under Anglo-Saxon laws, but
the Dane law?
The Dane law.
Yes.
So the Danes thus had their own terms for all three of these social ranks.
Sure.
And all of them are doublets of Theo, Cheoral, and Aoral.
Yeah.
Any guesses for what those ranks are called to the
Earl,
Old Norse?
Churl, and Thanos.
And Thanos. Yeah. Well, that was their king.
Yes.
Yeah. He ruled with a iron gauntlet.
with a gloved fist.
The gloved fist. Emily, the doublets here in Old Norse are thrall, carl, and jarl.
And jarl. This is why you were bringing up Skyrim.
Do you want to tell the audience why there's a relation to Skyrim there?
Because jarls are the sort of like kingdom leaders in Skyrim. All of Skyrim is sort of like Nordic feeling, so...
But there are also Thanes, right?
There are Thanes.
Yeah.
Yes, but Thanes in Skyrim, it's like a lesser rank. Yes. But that wasn't the case in real life, right?
No. Not really. So Jarl didn't come over to English except to describe the Danish Jarls, the Nordic Jarls.
Sure.
Though it did probably influence the nomenclature of Thane back to Earl, E-A-R-L, borrowing the A from Jarl.
Okay.
So they were like, oh yeah, your Jarls, that we had that once before, it was Aorals, but now we're going to call it Earls. But Thrall and Carl both became synonymous with Theo and Cheoral. They were used in Anglo-Saxon and Old English and are used modernly to mean those things.
Yeah.
And Cheoral, Carl is also synonymous with churl in the other senses of churl, which we'll talk about later.
I've heard, and maybe I've heard it in Skyrim, a word house Carl.
Emily? Yes. Give me 1 second and we are going to talk about that.
Good.
Perfect. I love it. I'm so glad I wrote it down. I was like, is she going to ask about this? Is anybody going to care? So Thrall, you'll recognize, I mean, that's in Skyrim too, right? Do you remember what the Thralls in Skyrim are?
I don't, but I know like thrall can mean like something like controlled by, like a thrall is like a, I don't know how you describe it, but if you're enthralled, you're like, yeah. Yep.
That's exactly it, Emily. So in Skyrim, a vampire's thrall was someone that was like controlled by a vampire, right? Thrall being a slave, right, is where we get the verb enthrall, which currently means to hold spellbound or to captivate, but it originally meant literally to make subservient, and then became to control by sorcery or seduction. And that's how it now means like, oh, I've been enthralled.
Yeah.
Right? And Emily, you recognized Carl from the term house Carl. Do you remember what a house Carl was in Skyrim?
Was that like the person that like ran your house? Like if you bought a house in Skyrim, you could just leave someone there all the time and kind of forget they exist?
That is like literally it. And then go home and be like, oh, you're here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is based in history. A house Carl was a hired bodyguard or manservant. And they were free men that were hired, so they weren't subservient, right?
They would just watch your house in real life? That was what they did?
Yeah, they would tend to... They were kind of like butlers, but also bodyguards. But like
sure, like knights, a steward. Kind of, yeah.
House Carl comes from the Old Norse huskarl, which was used in opposition to the Old Norse husbondi, literally master of the house, from Old Norse bua, meaning to live or reside. And it's from whence we get the English husband from.
Oh.
Literally man of the house, yeah.
Man of the house, wow.
Yeah. Carl, of course, Emily, also became a name.
It did? Is that connected?
It's for just from calling people man. That's where we get Carl from. Guy. Hey, guy.
Hey, guy. That one, too.
Yeah. And Carl, through medieval Latin Carolus and the French Charles, became Charles, right?
Yeah.
Charles the Great, or Charlemagne, became inextricably tied to this name, Charles.
Yeah.
And as such is ironically the source for the Slavic words for king, including the Russian Karol and the Polish Król. So from peasant to royalty.
From peasant to royalty, started from the bottom.
Now we're here.
Now I'm king of Poland.
Yeah, now I'm king of Poland. So, Emily, aside from Charles the Great and Charles the Now, I guess, most churls were not kings, right?
Yeah.
The churl's low status was reinforced by his weregild, Wergild, spelled differently and pronounced differently depending on the text that you're reading.
Gild, Gild, like gilded?
Gild. So, gilded, which means like to coat
like
something in gold, right? Comes, and as does the guild here, comes from the Old English yield, which has like a G with a funny symbol on it.
Yeah.
And it's also where we get yield from, to like yield something. Because yield in Old English meant payment.
Like yields, like it yielded some results, not like stop.
They're all related.
Crazy. This is fun.
So the yield to stop comes from to relinquish something.
Oh,
right? To give up something as payment.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
So what is weregild?
So weregild, later called blood money, was the legal compensation owed for killing a man.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like literally your value. You're literally your value. No, not like, oh, we'll pay you this much for killing somebody. It was, if you die, the person who killed you owes that much money.
As their, like, bail.
As their bail. Yeah, I guess. It's their punishment.
Sure.
So, throughout early medieval England, a churl was 200, which means worth 200 shillings. They were a 200man.
200.
Yeah, whereas by the 9th century, a nobleman was 1200, worth 1,200 shillings.
Wow.
To show how this social hierarchy pervaded medieval law, there was a type of legal defense known as compurgation, also known as trial by oath, which comes from the Latin cum, meaning with, and purgare, meaning to make clean, cleanse, or excuse, literally purge. Purge, right? So in compurgation, a defendant would be required to bring to trial a number of oath helpers who were willing to swear to his good character or oath worthiness with something called oaths, which was just evidence of their innocence, right? The number or value of which, as medievalist Bryce Lyon puts it in his 1960 A Constitutional and Legal History of Medieval England, depended upon the seriousness of the accusation and the rank of the plaintiff. So if it was the higher the crime, the more expensive it would be, but also the higher rank the person, the more expensive the weregild was, right?
It's crazy to think about. I killed him, and it's not like it's illegal. It just costs this much for me to have killed this man.
Yeah, it's like you're going to a store, and it's like, how much would it... Let me pick out my crime today.
Or it's like there's just a fee, you know? It's like, I'm going to bring an extra bag on the plane, so I have to pay this extra. And I'm going to kill that guy, so I have to pay this extra too.
Well, and it really like values and devalues humans, right? So the next part that I was going to say, as an example of compurgation, the 1200 thane would only require his own oath for a crime worth 1,200 shillings, right? So his own personal oath was worth 1,200 shillings.
Crazy.
Whereas a 200 churl, his oath was 200 shillings. So for a crime of 1,200 shillings, he would need to get 5 other churls to give oaths to equal the same thing that the thane would give in court.
Wow.
So if a churl, or I guess any person, if a thane, somehow managed to pay his weregild if they couldn't get oaths and they just paid the weregild, right?
Yeah.
He'd be termed a weregild thief.
He's a thief for paying?
Well, the thief was like criminal. Like he's a criminal who paid his weregild, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so weregild thief, see episode 120, Infang Thief, or other medieval crimes, right?
Yes, yeah.
But there was some degree of social mobility for churls. The 11th century legal tract Gethungthaw, which is translated as dignities sometimes, describes how if a Cheorl prospered, that he possessed fully 5 hides of his own, a bellhus, or bell tower, and a burggeat, or city gate, a seat, and special office in the king's hall, then was he henceforth entitled to the rights of a thane.
Oh, it just said, wait, go down the checklist.
Yep.
If he looks like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, he's a thane now.
Well, technically, they wouldn't be thanes. They just have the rights of a thane.
Sure. They just
Like
might
the
as
legal
well
rights.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't have the title. They don't have the clout.
That being said, there were upsides and downsides to this mobility. Historical sociologist W.G. Runciman, in his 1984 article, Accelerating Social Mobility, The Case of Anglo-Saxon England, writes, there developed an increasingly active land market in which there was nothing to prevent Cheorlish men from acquiring the 5 hides which carried the status of thanehood, and in the same process, less fortunate Cheorls were forced downwards.
Oh.
So basically, the classes started to pull apart.
I like the idea of like there being downward mobility.
Downward mobility when you're already a peasant.
Well, it's like when you're getting hired at a job. Like, oh, is there mobility in this position? Yes. Stay on your toes.
We might make you an intern. The freedom of churls continued to erode as the power of feudal lords increased. And as such, by the 13th century, a churl referred to decidedly not free feudal serfs, and then any countryman or peasant. And by the 14th century, more generally meant a not noble man was a churl.
Sure. Just
right?
A layman.
For example, in Thomas Shelton's 1612 translation of Don Quixote, Sancho Panza is advised to defend himself, and he instead offers a pardon for any wrongs done against him, whether they were be or shall be done by high or low person, rich or poor, gentleman or churl.
You can tell how much he's gone down in the world because it used to be churl and child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
churl's on the bottom end of the arrangement.
Yeah, exactly. So, Emily, around this time, we also see the meaning of churl change from peasant to rude person, and churlish change from peasant-y to rude, surly, ungracious, harsh, brutal. We see this semantic change anchored in the etymology of villain, which, as our lovely guest Jess Safaris once explained to us on episode 26, Sex, Lies, and Insults, comes from the late Latin villanus, meaning serf, peasant, or farmhand, from the Latin villa, meaning farm.
Wow, so it all just comes back to people dunking on peasants.
Dunking on peasants,
They're
Emily.
the worst.
They're
synonymous with jerks.
Yeah, well,
just
I mean,
for
it
being
was
poor.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. It was like the rich people dunking on peasants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the connection here is actually like really close. So a piece of the feudal system was a type of serfdom called villenage, Villein, villenage,
Okay.
in which serfs called villains contracted not with the king, but with a landlord, which we also talked about on episode 120 in Fang Thief.
Oh, right.
And the landlords then provided them some rights, but kept them from being free in the same way churls were with kings.
Sure. In my head, it's like they're not free, just like financially. They're like sort of financially and land dependent, and that is the way in which they are not free.
No, because the landlords made their own rules, which were law,
Sure.
which were separate from the laws of the king.
Okay.
And so they were firstly obligated to their landlord,
Right.
and then obligated to their king under this system, which made them kind of free, but not really free. And under this system, as time went on, many of the churls who were forced downward were forced into the roles of villains, and hence both villain and churl came to refer to someone lowborn, base-minded, or rustic, of ignoble ideas or instincts. John Bouchier, 2nd Baron Berners, in his 16th century translation of the King Arthur myth, combines both these words when King Jonas is called, "Thou foul old churlish villain!"
Boy, so churlish villain, it's like a tautology. It's like you're just saying the same thing twice.
Yep. Peasanty peasant.
You peasanty peasant. Wow.
Probably more closely, like rudely rude.
Yes. Yeah. Well, both.
Churlish can also be used figuratively to refer to violent beasts or natural forces. Shakespeare used churlish a lot in all of the senses, but he used it in both of these senses when Alexander describes Ajax as valiant as a lion, churlish as the bear in Troilus and Cressida. Mm. And when Duke Senior was carefree about the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind in As You Like It.
Wow. Yeah. Churlish chiding is good.
Again, the alliteration. You gotta go for the alliteration.
Can't resist.
Can't resist. Churlish also came to mean more specifically stingy, miserly, or grudging. The earliest sense is from the 1535 Coverdale Bible, which chastises the covetous, saying, "The churl will be churlishly minded, and his heart will work evil and play the hypocrite, to make the hungry lean and to withhold a drink from the thirsty."
It's just crazy to refer to peasants as miserly. It's so, like, they have no money. Of course they're going to hold on to what they have.
Yeah. So at this point, Coverdale, when he wrote this translation, probably wasn't talking about peasants. He's probably using the word to mean rude, like ignoble or just like mean, brutish, like how improper, perhaps.
Sure. Regardless of like socioeconomic status.
Right. But because of the context of it being rude in the sense that they're misconstruing God's words to be uncharitable to people, the word came to mean miserly, right?
Sure. Wow.
This sense was then propagated further when the King James Bible used it for the story of Nabal, Nabal, who is described by scholar James Maxwell in his 1611 The Golden Art, or the Right Way of Enriching, as an irregular rich man, covetous, churlish, and ill-conditioned. Do you know the story of Nabal?
No.
Yeah.
But he sounds like a real jerk.
He's a jerk, that Nabal. So when David, King David, but not yet king, sends his men to Nabal to gather supplies, Nabal retorts, "Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants these days that break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread, and my water, and my meat that I have killed for my shearers, and give it unto men of whom I know not whence they are?"
I don't even know this guy.
What? David? I couldn't even find out who Jesse is. Like, Jesse's not even mentioned other than what Nabal's talking about.
So funny. Yeah. Nabal's making up names. He's like, names. I don't know who David is. I don't know who this dude whose name I've just made up.
We didn't even bring up Jesse.
Even standing there.
Exactly. Exactly. Who is he? The story ends, as Maxwell puts it, when, in revenge whereof, the Lord smote the covetous churl's heart with amazement and fear, so that about 10 days after that he died. All it took was amazement and fear to kill him, and 10 days.
Me too.
Me too. Last time I saw a horror movie, I died 10 days later.
Yep. I was amazed and scared and took to bed.
The word Nabal has been retained as like a word in English, primarily in Scottish English, as a noun meaning churlish or miserly person, or as an adjective meaning churlish or miserly. An example of this, English royalist Richard Alstree, in his 1660 A Gentleman's Calling, references, "The churlishness of a Nabal makes men they cannot speak to him." Because like a part of the Nabal myth was also that people stopped talking to him.
Sure.
Because he was so miserly.
Yeah. It's a real Scrooge situation there.
Real Scrooge, yeah. But modernly, Emily, churlish runs the gamut from impolite to ornery to stingy to villainous. It can really mean any kind of like
we don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything bad.
Yeah. As an example of kind of this vagueness, a parent in a 2019 Washington Post article entitled Our 8-year-old son is bored and whiny. How can we help him change his attitude? Asks the question, is this a normal transition at this age, or do I need to start digging for a reason that he's become more churlish?
I mean, yes.
Yes,
it's normal.
Yes, absolutely. Calm yourself. Wait till it gets to 15 and you'll see where the problems are. But Emily, John Lydgate described the whole shebang best way back in 1430 in his English translation of the poem The Churl and the Bird, when he wrote, "A chorl's chorl is alway woobigoon."
And aren't we all woobigoon?
Woobigoon.
Yes. I do. I love that radio program, by the way, Lake Woobigoon.
Lake Woobigoon?
Lake Woobigoon.
Lake Woobigoon.
On NPR.
Anyway, Emily, would you finally do the honors of making me a chorl's chorl by using churlish in a sentence?
Yeah, absolutely. The last time Kyle and I had a meal together, he finished eating and let out the biggest, baddest belch you ever did hear because he's such a churlish man. He looks so sad that I've just said this about him. It's not true.
Oh, guys, it's very true.
It's really not. It was just made up. I'm so sorry,
melted
Kyle.
her face off.
He looks so truly like I stabbed him in the back by making up this sentence.
You churlish villain. Emily, great sentence.
Thanks.
Are you interested in a little game?
I am very interested.
Emily, your game today is called Do You Get to the Cloud District Very Often?
Hilarious, Kyle. That's a Skyrim joke.
So, yeah, as we've mentioned, the Elder Scrolls games double down on this Old English / Old Norse language / classism, right?
Absolutely.
So for today's game, I'm going to give you 2 names. They're going to be a mixture of the ranks that we've mentioned today, and you'll tell me which one is a real person and which one is an Elder Scrolls character.
Good. I'm so excited.
I think these will be easy for you.
Okay.
But not for the less Elder Scrolls minded.
I mean, it's been a minute since I've played, so we'll see.
So your first 2 names are Churl of Mercia and Dremora Churl.
Well, Mercia, I'm pretty sure is a real place. And I don't think it's a place in Skyrim. I don't remember Dremora Churl in Skyrim, but I think I'm going to say Mercia, the one that's of Mercia, is real.
You got it right, Emily. Churl of Mercia was a king, actually. He was a king of the kingdom Mercia, which was one of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. We only know his name from the historian Bede, but it's possible that Bede called him Churl because Bede was from the kingdom Northumbria, which was hostile to Mercia, and so it might have just been a joke calling him.
He is no king, he's just a Churl.
Yeah,
that's good.
Churl of Mercia. Yeah. So we don't know.
Yeah.
Dremora Churl was a humanoid type of Daedra, which was immortal demonic entities from Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Okay.
So like
I thought
kind of a
Dremora
demon.
sounded familiar as like a word in Skyrim. Yeah.
Okay, Emily, your next 2 are Thane Dengir of Stun and Thane Godric of Mapstone.
Boy, oh boy. So Dengir, I feel like I've heard in the game somewhere. And who is the other name that you said? Godric?
Thane Godric of Mapstone.
That I feel like I've come across on the OED somewhere doing word research. So I'm going to say Godric is real.
Yeah, you got it right.
I can almost remember where Dengir is, though. Is he in what's the city that's way up at the top on the coast?
He is the former Jarl of Falkreath.
Oh, Falkreath. But I do, yes, he had been unseated and he was all suspicious that it was a big coup.
Yeah, and if you allow the Stormcloaks to claim the hold of Falkreath, he becomes Jarl. That's social mobility again. Thane Godric of Mapstone is best known for the first timber version of Goodrick Castle, which is named after him, in modern Herefordshire in England.
Okay. And I like to imagine in his foyer there was a big giant rock with a map on it, and that's why he's called Mapstone.
Honestly, that is the only thing that would make sense.
Not
knowing
right?
how names were made in Old England. All right, Emily, your last two are Jarl Hakon the Powerful and Jarl Balgruf the Greater.
Well, that one's easy, Kyle.
I'm sorry.
Balgruf is the Jarl that you first meet at the beginning of the game. I do like the idea that the powerful doesn't refer to like a sorcerer in a video game. It referred to a real man.
A real man, yeah. So Jarl Hakon the Powerful, his full name was Hakon Sigurdsson. He was also sometimes known as Hakon the Bad. Oh. It's just like a less flattering name that he was given. I don't know why. There's like a lot of stories written about him. Okay. But he's of the famous dynasty of the Jarls of Lade and supposedly had a predilection for concubines. Maybe that's why he was bad.
And maybe that's why he was laid.
Yeah. Lade! L-A-D-E, but sure.
Sorry, don't mean to be churlish.
Churlish! And yeah, Emily, you got it. Jarl Balgruf was the Jarl of Whiterun, a major character on the Imperial side in the Stormcloak Rebellion, the big civil war that's frames the like main storyline in Skyrim, the greatest game on the face of the planet.
Sure.
Emily, that's churlish.
Really fun, Kyle. Really good, because it was a word that I felt like I knew, and then immediately I was like, oh, no. I don't at all.
It's a word that's used a lot in modern day. A lot of pundits, political pundits, will use the word to talk about politicians, obviously.
Sure.
But it's just used in a lot of different literature because it's just a funner way of calling somebody mean, rude.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Love it, Kyle. Hey, everybody out there, remember, you can watch us on YouTube at Butter No Parsnips, and you can find Butter No Parsnips on other social media like Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast and TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you liked today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you exclusive access to Buttered Parsnips, our After Hours podcast, where you can learn about where man and werewolves and man-wolves.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperator.
And I've been Emily Moyers, and this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Emily Moyers, and myself, Kyle Imperator. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.